In this session, Military Matters volunteer attorney Rachel Foley of Foley Law KC Bankruptcy will go over the different bankruptcy chapters available to individuals and how to recognize if bankruptcy is the right choice for you. Bankruptcies can be confusing and overwhelming. Our goal is to make bankruptcies more transparent and easy to understand so that you can make the right decision for you and your future.
Some people really want to pay their debt and come to the Chapter 13 to do that. Chapter 13 is the ultimate debt consolidation company. It charges 0% on that debt, so each payment you make each month goes to the principal. Student loan debt. If you have a student loan and you're behind and you can't get an income-based repayment plan and you can't get a forbearance on the debt that's due, then a Chapter 13 will be a great place for you. The reason being is you can segregate the student loans into a separate classification and pay that debt through the Chapter 13 plan. Bankruptcy may allow you to seek a discharge of all your student loans, but you have to file a special lawsuit and you have to prove that if you were paying these student loans, you couldn't live day to day. If you are a veteran and you were deemed to be disabled, your student loans at the federal end of those loans should be discharged. So you want to speak to somebody about that. Another reason to be in a Chapter 13 are reverse mortgages. So in a reverse mortgage, you are responsible for the taxes and insurance. And if you don't make those payments, the mortgage company will make those payments for you. But you're going to have to pay the piper at some point. So if you are 5 years behind on those taxes and insurance payments, the reverse mortgage company can begin a foreclosure process. When you file a Chapter 13, that stops everything in its tracks. And now you have 5 years to pay that debt and get back on board. Bankruptcy can actually help you with a security clearance. Owing debt may prohibit you from advancing in your career, just because the FICO score can pull your security clearance down. But what happens in the bankruptcy? The bankruptcy in a Chapter 7 or 13 will eliminate that threat because you're going to discharge all debt that's dischargeable, except for child support, student loans, and taxes. So be aware that you can increase your security clearance through a bankruptcy filing. Lawsuits, garnishments, and judgment liens. Oh my! Filing either a Chapter 7 or 13 will generally stop a lawsuit and garnishment through what's called the automatic stay. The exception to this proceeding is any action including domestic abuse, child support, criminal actions, and a few other specific instances. Judgment liens are a critical issue for those attempting to purchase or refinance a home. Mortgage companies, as well as title companies, will attempt to refuse a loan or refinancing if the client has a judgment lien, either in associate or circuit court. Lenders believe the debt is a judgment lien regardless if it does not meet the requirements of an actual judgment lien pursuant to Missouri statutes. As long as the suit was filed and the judge issued an order, they consider it a judgment lien. But some judgments, if they're older than 10 years old, they are presumed to be paid. Are you behind on a home? A Chapter 13 will allow you 60 months to bring that account current and stop a foreclosure in its tracks. A Chapter 13 also allows homeowners several possibilities to save their home from foreclosure. In Missouri, the Chapter 13 will actually force the mortgage company to restart the foreclosure process, and this will buy the time for the homeowner to work on a resolution, even if the Chapter 13 fails. In Kansas, the process is a little different. The Chapter 13 will still stop the foreclosure process, but you have to be careful because if your bankruptcy tanks and you get kicked out for one reason or another, the lawsuit in Kansas will pick up where they left off. So be aware of that. In a Chapter 13, you may be able to strip off or remove the subsequent mortgages. If the value of the home does not exceed the balance of the primary mortgage, you may be able to file a lawsuit to request that the second, third, fourth, or judgment liens be removed from your home. The removal of the lien can then be recorded upon the completion of the plan or the Chapter 13 bankruptcy, and any remaining debt associated with the subsequent mortgages are discharged. They're gone. Additionally, lenders appear to be more receptive to considering a loan modification or principal forgiveness once you file a Chapter 13. In a Chapter 13, there appears to be no limit as to how many times one may apply for a loan modification. I have one client who has applied 6 times and has finally received an offer that he is willing to take. Vehicles. If you're behind on a vehicle payment and/or you need to lower the payment by extending the time to pay or reducing the interest rate, Chapter 13 may be the best way for you. A Chapter 13 will allow you up to 60 months to pay off that vehicle loan. This may also allow for the reduction of the ongoing payment of the vehicle if this is your second or third year of being in the payment plan. A Chapter 13 allows one the possibility of reducing the interest rate if it is higher than the current what's called a trustee interest rate. Generally, we can cram it down to about 3 to 5%. In a Chapter 7, you might be able to reduce the loan on your vehicle by doing what's called a redemption for the current value of your vehicle. But you must obtain a lender that will issue the loan at a reasonable interest rate. The other advantage of a Chapter 13, as it stands today, you may be able to surrender the vehicle at any time in a Chapter 13. So at the beginning of your case, if you're not eligible to purchase anything because of your FICO score, you can drive the vehicle that you have, and then once your FICO score comes up, you can surrender that vehicle and then purchase a new vehicle. As with all things in the law, this is subject to change. Let's say that you've had a repossession. If your car has been repossessed, a Chapter 13 will stop that repossession cold and allow 5 years, again 60 months, to pay off that vehicle. So you need to talk to an attorney straight away. If your car has been repossessed, you want to get that bankruptcy on file within 10 days. Let's say that you budgeted for a new vehicle, but you didn't budget in the sales tax, which is not uncommon. You can file a Chapter 13 and pay that sales tax over 60 months. This will allow you to obtain tags for your vehicle and get it legal. So if you're behind on paying a sales tax and you've just purchased a new vehicle, talk to somebody about a Chapter 13. Let's say that you're behind on your taxes and that the IRS is coming after you. A Chapter 13 will put a pause button in that collection activity. So once you get into bankruptcy at Chapter 13, you will again have 60 months to pay that debt. And some of that tax debt may be dischargeable, meaning you don't have to pay for it. But you need to talk to an attorney and make sure that your tax debt qualifies, or at least get into the 13 and have 5 years to pay that debt. In a Chapter 13, the penalties and interest on priority tax debt stops accruing. This can be a huge advantage to you to pay off this debt. Tax liens in a Chapter 13 are valued as of the date of filing and may be paid through the plan. This will allow you to obtain a release of that lien upon the entry of the discharge. The value of that lien that must be paid through the plan is the present value of the equity in your home, and that is what attaches to the lien. So keep in mind, if you do not have any equity in that home, as we talked about earlier, stripping off a lien, this may be a perfect situation that the tax lien does not attach, and we can pull off that lien. If you and your spouse are on the house in Missouri, it's called joint tenancy by the entirety. And what this means is that if you have a tax lien that only attaches to your spouse and the other spouse is not attached to this tax lien, you might be able to strip that tax lien off only through a Chapter 13. So if this is your case, make sure to speak to a bankruptcy attorney and evaluate where you're at. After the bankruptcy discharge, the pre-filing lien does not attach to any newly acquired property, meaning that if you purchase a home in the future, it is not going to attach to it. Bankruptcy can be seen as a beginning or an ending. It's all up to you. The first thing you want to do is speak to an attorney. Lay out all the facts and information of what's going on, and then tell yourself, I'm taking my first step to financial freedom.